have a raise a hand?
Okay. So now, can you see the screen? We've got your logo and our logo here.
Yep.
Okay. So tonight, what we're going to do, I'll set it up real quickly, and then we'll do an overview of what what's river cruising about, what are the benefits, what's included, and then we'll look at the itinerary. The itinerary is really cool. So let's get started. And this started with the gentleman picking a nice itinerary to do as a group together with all their clients. And Jay, I assume you're going as well. And this is for this fall. This is October 24th or 26th. Which date was it?
The
I believe
24th.
it starts on the 24th.
Yeah.
24th. The Romantic Danube. It goes from Vilshofen Germany to Budapest, Hungary. This is a really nice itinerary.
The key though is to get in early for the free extension of the pre Prague few days ahead of the cruise. That would be
Agreed.
ideal.
Agreed. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, great.
Oops, going the wrong way. Sorry about that. The ship, if you've not seen what a river cruise ship looks like, this is the exact ship. And I've been on this ship because I hosted a large group of clients myself back about a week after this is set up for. Right. I think we departed on November 3rd of last year, doing the same exact itinerary on the AmaLea. Beautiful ship, just a few years old. And river ships are very different if you've been on an ocean cruise line. It's apples and oranges. This particular ship carries 156 guests, has about a crew of 45, maybe 50, has 2 restaurants on board, fitness room, spa, gift shop, lounge, sun deck. Sun deck has a heated pool, has a walking track. It's just a beautiful ship. It's a very modern ship and very comfortable. We'll look at a stateroom or two. Staterooms. This would be the typical stateroom. About 75% of the staterooms on this ship look like this. These are our signature twin balcony staterooms. You can see in the image here to the right, the chairs are outside. That's what we would refer to as a full balcony. And then on the left, you see the chairs are inside the stateroom. That's what was referred to as a French balcony. The door is open, but there's a railing there. On the other side, of course, you can sit out there in the mornings, drink your coffee, sit out there in the evening, drink some wine. Queen beds, plenty of space for all your stuff. There are staterooms smaller than this, and there are staterooms larger than this. But I just show this as, again, about 75% of the staterooms on this vessel would look like this and have the same dimensions as this. This stateroom's, I want to say, about 225 square feet, which in the river cruise industry is a very a generous sized stateroom, because the ship, you saw the image before, they're narrow ships. They're built, they're designed to go through the lock system, in this case on the Danube River.
Stephen, I'm going to chime in here. I'm
Yep.
sorry, I apologize
Absolutely.
to catch your flow, but bear in mind though, as you go through these wonderful pictures, the amount of time that you stay in your stateroom is really negligible. You're not hanging out as you normally might at a resort, in a suite, in a room, in a suite. You're out and about, you're doing things, and even and Stephen will show you some of the pictures of the rest of the ship. You're out in amongst the rest of the ship. So the room that you're in is I won't say it's not important, but it's not as important as you would think it to be.
But that's a very good point, Jay. And everybody has a different view of what type of stateroom they want on a river ship. And just so everybody understands, what sells first in our industry are the basic categories, because they're a good value, because just like Jay said, you're not always in the stateroom, and the suites. So the top and the bottom sell first, and then we sell from the inside out, kind of. So Jay raises a very good point. Everybody's different. The restrooms, the bathrooms and showers are all the same. The closet space is all the same. So everybody's different, has a different budget for these things. So his point is well taken. The main restaurant is here. I love the fact that everybody, all the tables, you can see where we are. If we're sailing while you're having lunch or sailing at dinner time, you can see what's going on. You've got all different types of tables here. You've got tables for 4, you've got rounds for 5. Not pictured here, we have long tables for 8. We have booths for 4 people. Okay, so there's plenty of space, and we have a secondary. We have a specialty restaurant here, which holds 28 guests, and it is served by our head chef, and it's a 6-course tapas style presentation, and paired with local fine wines, white and red. And this is in the aft of the ship. This is in the rear of the ship. Again, in this case, you've got floor to ceiling windows. Had lunch here recently. I was on a ship on the Rhine River last week, and was dining with some guests, and the ship was sailing, and so we could see the wake of the ship as we were eating lunch. Really, really nice. This is a really good experience. It's included. Everything I show you is going to be included. There's no upcharge here or optionals with regard to this stuff. Everybody gets to dine in here for dinner at least once on a 7-night cruise. And now we've opened this restaurant up for lunch each day, and we serve different Italian cuisine every day for lunch here. Pasta, we make our own pizza, we have appetizers, and we have really, really nice wines back here. The wines that are served in this restaurant are different from the wines we serve in the main restaurant, and different from the wines that we serve in the guest lounge. Well, I love that. We have anywhere between 18 and 24 types of wines, bottles of wines, brands of wines, whites and reds, fine whites and reds from the region that we're sailing in typically. So this is a great experience, the Chef's Table restaurant, and everything is farm to table, especially on the Danube. We make our own breads. We make our own ice cream. We make our own pastries. The only thing that's ever frozen is ice cream. Everything else, we literally get new food stocks every day. When people are off the ship doing their excursions, we have local vendors coming with our food stocks. And this is really nice to know. And most of the food is really healthy, but a lot of it is, ice cream, making our own pastries. Some of it is maybe not as healthy, but really, really tastes good. So I would say the cuisine is 5-star.
On vacation, you got to splurge.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I came home up from the Rhine on my trip, and I was traveling not with my family, but with clients and with a colleague. I did gain 4.5 pounds, so I'm working on that right now. I don't feel bad about it. Like you said, Jay, the weather was great. It was. Someone's raised their hand. Who has a question? You can unmute and ask us a question.
Yeah. So, 2 questions. How does this compare to Thomas Cook? Thomas Cook, I don't think exists anymore, but how does this compare to Thomas Cook tours? And also, in your business, would this be a 5-star cruise, 4-star? What is the rating on this one?
So we are considered just into the luxury category. This is a luxury cruise, so that'd be 5-star. There are a couple of lines that maybe are above us in the 5-star category, and they're priced accordingly. Thomas Cook is a little bit before my time, and I don't remember that they did river cruises. I know they were a very fine tour operator, FIT operator, and they were nationwide. I have some friends that used to work there many years ago, but I can't really say that it translates into what we're doing here. But that was a good. Okay.
At some point, are you going to be talking about prices and stuff?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the value adds here, and then you can reach out to Jay and Mike regarding specific pricing by staterooms and things like that. I'm not going to get into pricing by stateroom, but we'll talk about the group offer that they've negotiated with our company. Okay.
Okay.
So, and I hope that answered your question as best I could. So here's the main lounge. So on our cruises, we include domestic European beers with lunch and dinner. We include fine wines, regional wines with lunch and dinner, whites and reds, and those wines change daily, depending on where we are. But if on a Wednesday, we have a Chardonnay. I'll use my own experience here. I'm not a huge Chardonnay guy, but I like some of the other white wines we have on the ship, especially the Sauvignon Blanc. So the nights that they're featuring the Chardonnay from the region, I'll ask the waiter if I can have Chardonnay, if I can have Sauvignon Blanc, and that's not an issue. So I like the flexibility there. And then we have what's referred to as a sip and sail. This is basically a cocktail hour before dinner in the guest lounge. And here, again, the drinks are on us, the beers, the wines, signature cocktails. We've got a piano bar there. It's so we're playing music. It's the hour before dinner. Usually it's after we've come back on the ship after our afternoon excursions. People maybe freshen up a bit for dinner. And we have a very nice time, and people are having a few cocktails and comparing what everybody did off the ship that day. So it's my favorite time of the day, the sip and sail. And you're meeting other people on the ship, mostly from the United States. We have some Canadian guests. This past last week, we did have some UK guests. I met some couples from the UK, from Scotland. I met a couple from Scotland. I met a few couples from Canada. So that was kind of interesting. So this is a really nice time of day. It kind of primes you for dinner. We do have onboard entertainment. It is different, as Jay can tell you. It's different than the big ships and the oceans, the ocean ships where the entertainment travels with you. They've got bands. They've got all kinds of entertainment. We have entertainment every night, but it's local entertainment. The people will come on the ship after dinner while we're in port. They'll either play music or do folk dancing or do something that's relevant to where we are, what country we're in, what region we're in, and then they'll leave the ship, and then the ship will sail to the next destination usually, or maybe stay in port. It depends on the itinerary. So it could range from people singing, local singers, local dancers. We do have people that come in and play, just musicians that come in, and it appeals to some, and others. It depends on the night and what's going on. We understand that if, remember, when you're in a town, when you're in a city, if you want to get off the ship after dinner, you're more than welcome to. It's safe, it's fun. Maybe you saw something in town during the day that you want to go back and do or look at, or a place you want to hang out and have a glass of beer or something like that. That's fine. And we're not offended by that. But we do have entertainment every night after dinner as well. We do also have a dedicated wellness program. We started this about 6 or 7 years ago, and we have a wellness instructor, a wellness coach on the ship. We do a couple of classes each morning, a 6 and a 6:30 a.m. class before breakfast. Usually it's yoga or stretching or Pilates, something like that. Nothing competitive. We're not recruiting. Usually you get about a half a dozen to a dozen, I would say, guests per class. I do appreciate it. I do travel a lot for my work, and I do like to get up and do something and stretch around, get my body revved up before I go out for the day and do a hike or a bike ride. So I do usually participate in several of these a week, but it's there if you want it. So I do think it's a benefit. We're known for our service. In our industry, we do win a lot of awards for onboard service. The cruise managers win awards. The cruise managers go over above as well. Well, this is actually my friend Uwe. Uwe is Hungarian, and he's about a foot taller than me. He's 6'7", so he is just about a foot taller than me. And the reason I have this slide here is because we are the only cruise line where the cruise managers, the river cruise line, where the cruise managers actually travel with our guests when they get off the ship and do the pre or the post stay. So if anybody chooses the pre-stay, let's say we'll look at it later, in Prague, in the Czech Republic, Uwe he'd be there with you. He'd go to the hotel with you. He'd be there. He'll be on the tours with you. He'll actually have a service desk, a concierge desk at the hotel if you need help with restaurant reservations, theater tickets, or other excursions, things like that. So I think that's a really neat thing that our competitors don't do. And it also gives you the same point of contact for the entire, say it's a 7-night cruise or 10, cruise land, 10 nights, 12 nights, pre-post, things like that. I think it's a pretty thoughtful addition that we have the cruise managers traveling with our guests. And then this is really what you're there for. So the ship is lovely, the cuisine is lovely, the wines are first rate, but you're there to be in the destination, to get off the ship, to do things off the ship. And this is really where we differentiate ourselves from our competitors. On this itinerary, especially, the Danube is really lends itself to doing a lot of different things each day that you can choose from, and they're all included in the pricing. So you can do 3 different types of walking tours based on your own abilities. So you can do a gentle pace walking tour, a moderate pace walking tour, or an active pace walking tour. Most of those walking tours include something that you're visiting. You know, you're doing a walk, but maybe you're doing also a cooking class at the end of the walk, or you're doing a tasting, a beer tasting, a wine tasting, a cheese tasting, depending on where we are, what's the specialty of that area. We also do hikes, which I like to do. The image here is the hike through the vineyards in Rudesheim on the Rhine River. And this is a wonderful hike. And it goes all the way in the background. You can see a statue way up there in the back. So it's about 1.5 miles each way. It's probably a 3 out of 5 activity level. It's very nice. And it's nice to walk through the vineyards. And then we actually have on our ships 26 to 30 touring bicycles. So if you have bike riders, if you want to, you can take the bike out on your own. Remember, the rivers in Europe all have bike lanes, bike paths along the river, very, very flat, not competitive. We'll usually do something between a 10 and 20 kilometer bike ride round trip with stops where you can get off and take photos and do things. Those are guided, usually with 2 guides. Or you can take the bicycle off on your own if you show us that you know how to you know how to handle a bicycle and you sort of know you know the rules of the road. You're fine to take a bicycle out on your own. But I think it's nice that we're doing different things, different excursions in different parts of the river every single morning and most afternoons too. So in some places we're in a big city, so we're off the ship all day in that one city. But other places on the Danube, we're doing something in the morning, back on the ship for lunch, sailing up or down river, and then off the ship again in the afternoon. So I like the fact that we're doing more than one thing a day. And now the itinerary, real quickly. Terrible map as far as to scale, but the Danube is probably the first river I ever sailed on when I came to work here. And now I've sailed on it several more times, sometimes with my family. I brought my family twice. I bring my clients there a lot because I think it is probably the most touristic river in Europe. So many things to do. On a 7-night cruise, you're going to go through 5 countries: Germany, the Czech Republic, Austria, Slovakia, which probably many Americans have never been to Slovakia, probably couldn't find it on a map. It's a very interesting visit. And then we end in Hungary, Budapest. So you have some really nice, you have some imperial capital cities here. You've got the capital city of Austria. You've got Vienna. We've got Bratislava, which is the capital of Slovakia. We have Budapest, Buda and Pest, the capital city of Hungary. And then in between, you have all these little medieval towns, the Český Krumlov, let's see, Vilshofen, Dernstein, Wiesenkirchen. So these are really nice visits, juxtaposed with these old capital cities. Yes, I have a question again. Yes.
Yeah, so this looks like a combination of East Europe and West Europe. And East Europe, like the Czech Republic, these are all like I don't know if you want to call them like communist type countries or something.
Well, we would
So
call them ex-Soviet countries, and that
yeah,
was
ex-Soviet,
yeah.
ex-Soviet. So is there a way to just do the West Europe and not the East Europe?
No. No, there's not. You're missing some of the magic of this because these countries are so interesting. We didn't used to have access to some of these countries until 30 years ago, right? So I actually have been to Germany many times in my career, in Austria, but I actually relish the visits to the Czech Republic and Bratislava in Slovakia and Budapest. So
Stephen, I will chime in here too. It's, you
yeah.
know, you might want to be interested in if that's your concern, is interested in a different cruise, maybe, you know, through, you know, France or something of that nature. But this route I've been on 4 or 5 different routes thus far, and I'm obviously Michael and I had to make a choice. And this particular route to me is by far, not that the others are bad, because they're not, they're beautiful, but this is a classic. This is the classic, especially if you haven't been on a river cruise before. This is, in my book, the first, I encourage people, the first river cruise that they ever take, this is the one they need to take, because this really covers the greatest highlights. The upper Danube is just spectacular. Starting in both and ending in both of these cities is extremely special. The first time that I was even in Bratislava, I fell in love with it. I can't wait to go back. It was just the cutest town. The boat docks right. That's the one thing too that Stephen hasn't shared with you yet, other than saying to get off the boat and walk up into town. Most of the time, these ships are docking right in. Europe was built on rivers, so there's the boats are being docked right in or near town. So you can many times just walk right off the ship and you're in the city center. So Bratislava was one of them, and I will never forget it. It was just absolutely spectacular to be able to experience that. So this particular route here, again, in my view, covering the highlights of what, if you do join us, what you will see are really just special places. The rest of Europe is great. This is grand.
Well said.
Do you have a video of what of the cruise somewhere, some portion of it, what it looks like?
Yes, you can find us on YouTube under AmaWaterways, and if you go to our YouTube page and just type in Danube River Cruises, you'll see some of our cruise managers. They're not long videos; they're usually a minute or two long. They'll do video clips on the different stops. So that's usually what we do. We don't really have like 30-minute videos or anything like that. Most of them are video clips, and they'll be authentic, meaning that the cruise manager is standing at the port talking about a particular city or town. So
Michael, maybe when we're all done here, you can send to Ms. Gupta some of the YouTube videos that Stephen is suggesting, so he can get along. He's got a lot to cover, so let's Stephen.
And I put in my contact information into the chat, so if anyone wants to reach out to me tomorrow, if for some reason this itinerary doesn't work for them or the dates don't work, we can certainly look at some of the other river cruises they have on rivers such as the Rhine, the Seine, the Rhone, or even the Douro in Portugal.
sounds good, gentlemen. Okay, so let's look at the actual itinerary day to day. So we start in the small town of Vilshofen, and we have our own Oktoberfest there. We've got our own beer tent at the port, and when we come in, this is where we would board the ship in Vilshofen, and it's a lovely town. You walk around town, you could see, and now to Jay's point again, Jay, look, you're not even a block from the city, from the town center here, where we dock, right? So we'd have a nice welcome party, beer, wine, champagne, soft drinks, oversized Oktoberfest pretzels, live music. People from the town come and greet us. It's a very interesting stop and a great way to start or end, because the cruise goes in the other direction as well, or end your Danube River cruise. Passau. This is one of my favorite stops because this is the confluence of two smaller rivers that feed into the Danube River. And this is the waterfront area of Passau, Germany. And it's all these beautiful pastel buildings, some nice cathedrals. We do a nice walking tour here. I've done a bike ride here. And my most recent visit here, when I was here in November of last year, I did the hike for the first time. And the hike is not that easy. It's up to the highest cathedral in the town, and the grade is a little bit steep, and it was a great probably hour and 15 minutes each way. And I'd never been to this cathedral before, and in in the basement of the cathedral, they had quite a collection of artwork, which I found very interesting. So I did that with about 20 guests. So there's always something different to do, and I like the fact that you can do different types of excursions: biking, hiking, walking tours. And now I can say I've done them all in Passau, and it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite towns. Linz, Austria. Linz, another beautiful town. We dock here on the third day on the cruise, and this is an interesting concept as well. This is the one day where we do some coaching. So we'll ask the guests ahead of time, what do you want to do on this day in Linz? You can do a walking tour of Linz. It's a wonderful city, small city, great pubs, great restaurants, great shopping. But you could also go up into the foothills of the Alps, of the mountains, and go up to Salzburg in Austria, or you could go to Český Krumlov, which is a beautiful little city on a canal. It's a canal city in the Czech Republic. So we have people in 3 different places on the same day. And, depending on what you like to do, when I'm traveling with my wife, of course, she remembers the music, the movie, The Sound of Music, which is filmed in Salzburg. So we always go to Salzburg. It's a beautiful drive up there. It's a beautiful city. And we've done it at Christmas time too. It's a beautiful place for the Christmas markets. And then this past time, again, I was with guests. So I did Český Krumlov, and I've also done Linz itself. So now I've done all 3 of these opportunities. And again, you can be doing bike tours, you can be doing hiking. So there's all different types of things to do on this particular day. And then when people get back on the ship for the sip and sail, people are comparing notes. They're, say, hey, what was Salzburg like? What was Český like? And we're showing pictures on our phones, and it makes for a really interesting, cocktail hour. So this is one of my favorite days as well. So this is a great day. And also the side benefit of splitting all this stuff up and having all these different excursions is the excursion sizes are typically only 12 to 15 people, right? So that's something to consider as well, because a lot of times if you're on a motor coach tour or an ocean cruise, something like that, the group sizes get fairly large, and you're walking around with a guide, and you're maybe 40 or 50 people. So in this case, much more intimate with a guide, and you have an earpiece in your ear, and you can hear everything the guide is saying. You don't need to be walking right next to the guide when you're out and about.
Yeah, that I think is one of the best all-time features, is having your earpiece in, and you can actually take it out. You can talk to a neighbor, and you're a friend or your spouse, and you're not interrupting the speaker because everybody else is plugged in. It's just awesome.
Right. It is a good feature. On this day, we do something in the morning and we do something in the afternoon. I like this day a lot. We also, on some of the itineraries, I think on this itinerary, because I do remember having a wine tasting. I want to say it was maybe just before dinner or just after dinner. There was a wine taste. There's a winery right across where the ship was docked. But anyway, in the morning we do Dürnstein, a beautiful little medieval town. You walk through somebody's vineyards to get to the town, and then you actually walk through the gates. It's almost like castle gates with a big arch to get to the old part of town. No vehicular traffic, just bicycles and pedestrians. It's a wonderful visit in the morning. We'd get back on the ship, have lunch, and then in the afternoon we'll go and do the Abbey at Melk, which is it is a coach ride, short coach ride, because it's just such a steep hill. And you get up there. It's a 16th century Benedictine Abbey, and it's basically a huge library and art museum. It's really interesting. So that's a nice day. These are all great days, honestly. Here's a day of sailing. Some people might say, what about sailing? Do we get to sail? Yeah, of course we get to sail. Some of the sailing's at night because we're doing so much stuff, off the ship during the day. But there are afternoons where we are sailing and you can see the Danube River. And this is one of those days. We're on the Strudengau Valley and the Wachau Valley. And this is some of the nicest daytime sailing on this itinerary, where the Danube is bending and winding, and you can see, in some spots where it narrows, we're right next to some of these old towns, taking great photos. I take a lot of video clips and things like that. And when you're traveling, this is October. So October is sort of like there. This time in October is similar, have similar weather to us. It's their fall foliage as well. So you have a lot of nice colors and deep reds and orange and rust and things like that. So it's a really nice time to be on the river. I like October. October and May are my two favorite months to be on the Danube.
Yeah, that's because of July and August, it gets a little warm
A
in
little
your.
warm these days, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Jay?
No,
Yeah.
that is one of the reasons, folks, that we chose the time frame to this, is that it does cool off rather nicely. You know, you might need you know, some sleeves in the evening, light sleeves in the evening at some point if you come off the ship. But during the day, it's just generally delightful if we, you know, hit the weather properly. So it's really very pleasant.
And again, Jay makes a good point because January and August now have become can be problematic when it gets, you know, up over say 85 degrees. Then you're doing a hike, you're doing a walking tour, maybe not as comfortable as fall weather when it's usually in the 60s. Can be a little warmer, can be a little cooler, but nice weather for touring, for bike riding and hiking and walking. So I agree. And just dress in layers then. Here's probably the most interesting, or certainly the largest capital city that we're going to visit during this itinerary is Vienna, Austria. There's so many things to do in Vienna, so many great restaurants, pastry shops, coffee houses, symphony halls, and just all kinds of really interesting things to do. And what we do here is we will bring everybody into the center of town. It's a short coach ride of about 8 minutes. You'll meet your local guides. You'll do walking tours based on what you want to do and what you choose. And then we say to guests at about noontime, you can go back on the ship and have lunch, or you can stay in town, and Ama's going to run shuttle buses from the main cathedral where we start our tours and where we end our tours. We'll run them back to the ship every hour on the hour till about 6 o'clock at night. So totally up to you. And this is a place where I would say 4/5 of our guests will say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to stay in town. I've made some friends well, you'll be traveling as a group, so you can stay and have lunch in town. Or if there's a museum you wanted to see that wasn't on our tour or something like that, you can do that. So there's a lot of opportunity here to do a deeper dive, I would say, into Vienna because there's so much to do and see. It is a large city, and I like the fact that we run the shuttles back and forth every hour on the hour till 6 p.m. So that's pretty good. And even some people will stay in town because we're really not that far. You can get in an Uber or a cab and be back on the ship in about 8 minutes. It's not that far away. Some people will even stay in town for dinner that night. So it's a very interesting city. It's a beautiful city.
Stephen, just to make sure that everybody's clear, even though we will be on the same ship and on the same departure, everybody here plus others who have already booked are traveling unrelated for the most part. I know a bunch of people,
Okay.
but everybody's unrelated, so it's not like there's a group functions as you would if you were traveling. You know, if you were traveling with your church group or your your book club group or something of that nature. We're gathering everybody together and just traveling and introducing AMA and the program together, but it's not run as your standard as you would consider a group
Understood.
outing.
My experience, Jay, is that usually by this time on the itinerary, 4 or 5 days in, everybody's made some buddies on the ship. You've met somebody on an excursion, you've met people at dinner, you've met people in the guest lounge, and now you're traveling with some folks. My wife and I have friends from all over the country now because we've been on so many of these cruises. So sometimes you sort of buddy up with people and say, hey, do you want to go back to the ship for lunch? Or you just want to stay in town, or what do you want to do? So there's opportunities either way. And if you want to go back to the ship, that's fine too. I mean, it's nothing that says you need to stay off the ship, but it is a great opportunity for you all to take a deeper dive. It is a very special city. So take advantage of the time that you have there, I guess is my point. And then here's Bratislava, as Jay talked about earlier. That's the castle up to the left there. that's our hike on that day. And it's a really interesting, it's not that far. It's only about a mile each way. But as you get closer to the castle, the grade changes a little bit. So just make sure you can handle the grade. But it is a really interesting view. I like the hikes if they're going up to the peaks of the city, whether it's the cathedral or the castle or the monastery or whatever it is. The reward for doing the hike and getting up there is you can look down on the river and you can see the whole city. You can see the bend in the river. You can see the ships as they're coming and going. It makes for a wonderful vantage point. I usually get some of my best photographs from being at the high point on doing these hikes. So Bratislava is a very interesting place, very different place. It was under the Soviet regime. I remember the very first time I went to Bratislava. This is about learning too. Culturally, it's a very interesting city, and I didn't realize it was a Catholic, well, predominantly Catholic city. I didn't realize that because I always thought of it as being under Soviet rule. And I asked one of the guides, who at the time was a little older than me, I said, how was it to practice Catholicism under the Soviet regime? And she said, it was not easy. So that was interesting. We had a little side conversation after that. So I learned a lot when I go on these excursions. I like to talk to the locals. We also build in free time, I want you to understand. So we'll do a walking tour, maybe it's an hour and a half, but then we'll give you maybe an hour to yourself to walk around town and visit and to poke around and go into gift shops or whatever you want to do. I usually like to find a place to sit outside, cafe, what have you, glass of wine, beer, and just people watch and talk to people. I talk to wait staffs. I talk to some of the merchants. I like to poke around. I like to learn about people's culture, and maybe even sometimes I've actually bought people a drink and rub elbows with some of the locals and have a beer with them as well. So I kind of like doing that. It's kind of fun. It's great. It's a great visit, though. And then Budapest. See, there's not a day on this itinerary that I don't absolutely love. This is my favorite itinerary. I was telling Mike earlier that I've done this itinerary several times, and every time I go, I do something different. And it's a lot of fun. This is Budapest, the capital city of Hungary. These are the famous parliament buildings on the banks of the Danube here. At night, you've probably seen some of the iconic photos that these buildings are lit up at night in almost like a gold hue. If you Google Budapest, I'm telling you, 8 out of 10 images will come up with these buildings lit up in gold at night. And then we do in the morning, we'll do the Buda side, of the city. We'll do walking tours of Buda. And in the afternoon, we'll do Pest. We'll do the Pest side. And my last visit here in the morning, I was traveling with somebody who worked in the industry, had spent some time here, and referred me to a little bakery shop, like almost down an alleyway. I wasn't even sure about it. She said, "No, you go down here. It's the best pastry in town. It's only be a couple of euros." And I got a cherry Danish that I'm still talking about. It was that good. So little things like that. These are the things I remember when I travel. It's the tastes and the sights and the sounds and the smells, and it's just Budapest is a really, really interesting place. We spend the entire day here. And then we have a special treat for you. So Mike and Jay have booked this itinerary with a value add with something that my company is promoting through the end of this month. You have from now until the end of March to take advantage of this. And it is a complimentary. This is a 3-night stay that we sell as an optional package. It's in Prague, another incredible city in Central Europe. And this would be a pre-stay. We'll be with you. Ama will be with you. Your cruise manager will be with you. 3 nights in Prague, including some sightseeing in the mornings, includes your hotel taxes. The hotels are right there by the old town. And it's if you book it through Sports Tours and Travel, and you book it by March 31st, put a deposit down, it's free. It's $1,000 per person value. And I've done it myself with my wife. I've done it myself with my wife and kids. It's one of our best pre and post packages. There it is there. So there's the castle hike there. We do a Czech beer tasting. I don't know if we have any beer drinkers on the call, but the Czechs are known for their Pilsner beers, right? So, and I got turned on to some Pilsner beer probably about 8 years ago, and it's really, if you drink beer, it's really good beer. I love walking around Prague because they're part of the EU, but they're not. They don't use the currency, so their currency is the crown, and it doesn't hold a lot of value versus the U.S. dollar. So you can have dinner out. You have a nice 3-course meal with a cocktail or two, and you get the check, and it's $55 US. Pretty good for two. I like it a lot, and it's walkable. It's all walkable. You don't need to get on a coach or a taxi or anything like that. We're going to be in 4.5, 5-star hotels right by the city center, the old town, the old city center, and Prague is known for the fact that it had no strategic value during the Second World War, so it was not bombed. So you have mostly a 14th century, architecture still in the city, and people now built, homes around these places, and restaurants are in these old buildings, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful city. And you've got a lot of these ancient clocks and things like that, and footbridges. So I would recommend this, especially because it's on our dime, right? So that is the special offer here. That would otherwise cost a couple traveling, $2,000 for the extension, which is, by the way, a very reasonable price. But to get it for free is a much better price. So we want you to think about that. There it is there exactly in writing. And now if people don't want to do the extension, they just want to do the 7-night cruise, not penalized, we'll still offer you a $500 discount per person on the 7-night cruise if you're just going to do the cruise. So we want you to know that. And I've misspelled deposited. I apologize for that. Just noticed it now. And that is if you put down a $400 deposit per person down on or before March 31st. So, and I think that gets us to Q&A. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen, and then we can go back to, let's see. There. Okay, so we're back to Hollywood Squares, and we can unmute and have questions, comments, feedback. Anybody? Yes. Umo?
Yeah, so what is the capacity of the cruise liner, and what is the current exchange rate for US and Euro? And then the last question was for Jay, actually. Are you the same people who do the Baseball Hall of Fame? Because I think that's where I first met your company.
Yes, that is correct. About the Baseball Hall of Fame, we're the official licensed travel partner for the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Yes. And the questions you had for me, the capacity of the ship is 156 guests. And the other question about the euro, I just came back last week, and about $1.20 bought euro as of last week. It's obviously subject to fluctuation, but that's what it is currently.
You mentioned about driving up to where the Sound of Music was. Do you provide the transportation? You don't have to rent cars, do you?
No. We take you on a coach. It's a beautiful drive up into the mountains. There is a stop there where we can go through we'll stop, and it's sort of a rest stop, but it's a small town. You can spend a half hour there. There's clean restrooms there, and so on and so forth. And then we head up to Salzburg. There's plenty of time. We do a walking tour of Salzburg, and then we give you like an hour and a half on your own. Most people find their own. There's plenty of small restaurants. Now you're in, what you're going to see in restaurants is schnitzel and bratwurst and a lot of, Austrian type of of food. It's very interesting. There's a lot of places to shop. My wife and I like to, we like handmade Christmas ornaments, nice Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. So we always come back with something. And we've now taken all of our kids' stuff that they made from popsicle sticks for our tree. They're all in the back of the tree now. And we have these nice porcelain things and other things. But we take care of everything. We have guides. Again, we split the groups into smaller groups, and you walk around town. And these places are all, we will give everyone clear direction as to where are the restrooms, where's the ATM, if you need an ATM, where the restaurants, and then we're going to meet right here where the coach is going to be, that kind of thing. And yeah, so it's pretty much the entire day. If you do the other excursion into Chesky, it's not quite the entire day. It's probably, half a day. It's not quite as far. That's about 35, 40 minutes away. And this is more like an hour and a half away, right? So, or you can stay in the town that we're docked in, which is also a very pretty town.
Yeah, the wonderful part of Ama's philosophy is flexibility. So you can do as much as you want. You can do as little as you want. You want to stay back in a day and just, sleep in late and hang out on the boat and sit up in the sun and start drinking at lunch, or whatever you want to do is really up to you. So that's the wonderful part. And then the excursions themselves, the night before, generally late in the afternoon before the sip and sail, or during possibly, the cruise manager explains the what's going to be taking place tomorrow. And although you may have already booked certain things that you saw that were interesting, you may, after it is explained to you a little more in detail with some pictures and slides and things of that nature, you may decide and say to yourself, well, you know what, that sounded really good when I booked it, but boy, I really would like to do this. And most of the time, pending availability, bicycles might be a different thing because there's only so many bicycles, but most of the time the switch can be made. And that's a philosophy that Ama has that not every cruise line has. The one that you generally see on TV does not have that as an example. What you book is what you book. You pay for that extra. And once you're done and you booked it, if you decide to change, you can't get your money back. We hear everything is included with Ama. You don't have to you literally, if you prepay your gratuities, which we encourage people to do, you could go the entire cruise and almost, other than your own personal souvenirs and maybe a couple of coins to go to the men's or ladies' room, you don't have to spend any money. I mean, it's literally that complete. And the great part of it again is that flexibility, where there are other cruise lines that you may decide in advance to buy, let's say, $500 worth of different excursions that AMA already includes. And then once you go to make the changes on the ship, you can't do them, or they're sold out, and then you decide not to go, and you just basically forego your monies. We're here with AMA, you don't, that's all flexible and you can choose what you want. That's why we love this cruise line. It's just phenomenal.
Once again, Jay, and I can tell you've sailed with us several times. Well said. That is correct. We do give you the opportunity up till the night before to change your choice, because you can choose it, 60 days out what you want, and maybe you get on the ship and you realize, maybe I didn't want to do a 25-kilometer bike ride. Maybe I just want to do the walk today. And as long as you tell us the day before, and the only thing that is that does have a limit is the bicycles, but it's rare that we would have all 26 bicycles out. So with the tours, we never go over 20. If we have too many people, we'll just split the group and have another local guide come out, which I think is brilliant. And again, remember, it's not an ocean cruise where you're buying these as you go. You prepaid these. So it doesn't matter to us if you change it. We just need to know the day before, so how many people will be on each tour, so we know how many guides to bring. That's the only reason we need to know at least the night before, right? But it is very laid back. And And we want it to be that way. We don't want people to be stressing. And Jay, there's a cruise line, the same cruise line you referred to, where based on how high a category you purchased, you get to choose the excursions first. And if people chose down a C, D, they don't get to choose their excursions until last, which is so it's unheard of at AMA. That's crazy. Everybody can choose their excursions when they want. So it's a very flexible program, and it's why we're so popular. We're the second largest river cruise company currently in the United States. I think that's one of the reasons. We do have a question. Ms. Gupta, you have
two questions. So in January, right? I think on the 1st of January, there is a New Year's concert at the Vienna Philharmonic. It does at the hall there. So would you be able to get tickets for that? And at that time of the year, what is the temperature in Fahrenheit like over there?
Oh, so we don't sail in January. We do sail in February. We do offer tickets to one of the symphony halls in Vienna. I've done that. It is, I want to say it's Mozart and Strauss music. It's a beautiful symphony hall. But if there's something else you want to do, we usually can help you with something. There's so many different symphony halls in Vienna. There's so many different opportunities to see live music, choral choirs, things like that. So you can inquire with us. It is a group booking, so I don't know if it's Mike that's going to handle the group bookings, but you can inquire with the group, our group coordinator, if you want to do something like that. But if you're talking about though in January, yeah, our ships are taking a break in January for the most part.
So when do you start your cruise, and what's the temperature like at that time?
Well, I was on a cruise last week, and that was probably our third sailing of the year. So I want to say we start the second week of February. That would be the earliest we would sail in Europe, and the temperature there is similar to what it would be like here in February. Now I sailed the last week of February into the first week of March, and we had brilliant upper 50s and low 60s. So we had a wonderful cruise that ended on the 5th of March. And
Stephen, when you say here, I want to be clear. Stephen
I'm sorry, not everybody's in New England.
Stephen is in New England, and not everybody is from New England. So the thing is that you can think about it as the Northeast or the East Coast. For the most part, the Mid-Atlantic to the Northeast temperature during pretty much for the whole year. I mean, it's pretty parallel. So when we chose this, the temperature will range pretty much the 50s and 60s. There could be, I've been on cruises in November, it could go into the 70s. You're not going to get 80s and 90s at all, most likely. But you're now also going to get in the 30s. It could be possibly in the evening, and one of the, in Strasbourg, or, as we head out a little bit into the hills, there could be a night where it's a little bit cooler. But again, we're not at that point out and about. It's not like you're going to be out till, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night where the temperature's going down, below the, 30s and 40s. The nice part of this time of year, again, is the temperature that we feel it was important versus July and August, where it's the Northeast again, but it could be 90, 100 degrees. And in certain places in Europe, it also gets humid, just like it does on the East Coast. So the temperature, though, for the most part, is really pretty great.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned January is because this Vienna Philharmonic concert, the main feature is a ballet to do Danube perform live. So that would be interesting. That would be an interesting combination to your tour. So
yeah, it just that Ms. Gupta, that the cruise that we're doing and explaining tonight is if you didn't catch it within the information, it's October 24th to October 31st, and the free excursion to Prague, which a number of people who are on this Zoom who already have booked it, is October 21st to the 24th. And the nice part of that is once we're done on the AMA transportation will all be included to get us to the beginning of the ship. So once you get on the program, if you opt to do the once you get on the program on October 21st, you're pretty much taken care of right straight through. And in Prague as well, there will be, from what I understand, Stephen, there will be free time available during the days. So there generally is an excursion or two in the morning on the and then in the afternoon, you've got the availability to explore on your own. And it's not necessarily, this is not a standard. If you've been on a standard kind of touring program, this is not that. This is an availability to be as flexible and as independent as you want, with as numerous choices and options for you to be able to choose. And that's including the food. Because if there's a certain food being a dinner that's being served in an evening, there's so many different choices of substitutes. Even after you might have 3 or 4 different options of entrees, there's generally a chef special suggestion, and then there's a few other opportunities to choose from. And then there's still other basic options that you can always order if you don't want the entrees that are being served. And the food is, I gotta tell you, the food is absolutely outstanding.
Once again, I agree with everything you said. And you're right about the Prague extension. It is hosted. It's not fully escorted like other tours that you're mentioning. And it means that basically we're with you in the mornings doing excursions, and then the cruise manager is available to you at the hotel. The rest of the day is yours. But if you need some guidance, our cruise manager has a hospitality desk in the lobby or in a meeting room at the hotel. And if you need their resources, they're there for you. But
Stephen, is that including dinner on the
no.
or is that dinner then on your own?
Dinner's on your own. There are a couple of optionals on the Jay, where the first night at the hotel, the cruise manager will have a cocktail reception and explain how the program works. Here's what we're doing tomorrow morning, next morning, and then he or she will say, we do have an optional dinner if anyone wants to join me on this night. We have an optional show on this night, and you can do it or you cannot do it. It's totally up to the guests. I've done many of them. I don't always do them. As we go along, Mike, if you have any questions about these optionals, I think I've done them all. I can give you we've got a description of them, but if you need a deeper or better review, let me know. So it depends on the people. Some people want to be with other people on the trip and have something hosted, right? And other people say, we passed this beautiful little restaurant. I looked at the menu. I want to go. It's 4 blocks from here. I want to go back there. So everybody's different. But again, like Jay says, it's you have the options. It's flexible. It's up to people's personal, the way they travel, the way they like to travel. Maybe you've made some friends and you're going off doing your own thing with your new friends. Or maybe you are doing something that we're hosting that night. Okay. Did we cover? How did we do? Did we cover everything?
I think so. And I'll just second what Jay was saying about the food options. I mean, that was probably the toughest part of the whole cruise for me, was trying to determine what I wanted to eat, because there were so many incredible options. Whether it be for breakfast, lunch, dinner. and breakfast. The assorted pastries that were there were to die for. I probably started off my morning every morning with a pastry and then tried to figure out, well, what am I going to have for breakfast?
Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to come back with any complaints about the food or the wines or anything like that. It is. I was telling Mike this earlier. I mean, this is my favorite itinerary. I've brought my family on this itinerary twice in the last several years, and there's something for everybody. And you know, obviously my kids are younger and they're doing different things than what me and my wife are doing. Sometimes they're with us doing excursions. Sometimes they're doing a different excursion, right? We don't say to our children when they're traveling, yeah, they're adults now. They can do what they want. If they don't want to do the hike with us, they can go do something else. But I think there's something for everyone on this itinerary. And you're in a different country almost every day, not quite every day, but almost every day. So there's so many different things to do and see. I really, really genuinely appreciate this itinerary. This part of the world I've been going back and forth to Central Europe for about 35 years now in my career, and it doesn't get old. I always find something new to do, new people to meet, new things to eat and drink. So I hope you give this a try. I think you won't be disappointed. I think Jay and Mike put together some really nice itineraries with us before and with other companies too. They do a really good job.
Well, thanks, Stephen, for your time. Michael, thanks for putting this together. And thank you all for being on board and listening. And I hope that some of you can make a decision and go. It's you believe me, I would highly encourage, if you're thinking about it, get into I don't want to put pressure on you, but the end of March is not a few weeks away. And if this Prague availability is there and you have the time, definitely worth the extra 3 days, especially since it is indeed, it's for the most part free. You got to get there, but and Ama can as well. Michael can help you with flights. There are lots of different options as far as doing some of this through Ama. Michael can set you up with that. There's a couple of flight deals that Ama does, and Michael can explain all of this to you offline, rather than keeping Stephen any longer, since we've been on over an hour. Thank you for your. I probably extended that a little for you. I'm sorry for the color commentary.
No, it was good. You were spot on. You could do my job. Absolutely. So,
And before the end of the week, we'll send out the link to the recording. So in case you missed something and you want to go back and watch the recorded version of tonight, that'll be available.
Or the best is share it with some friends and other family members and bring them along with you.
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much
everybody.
for joining us this
Appreciate your
evening.
time. Okay. We'll talk to
Definitely
you
be in
another
touch,
way.
Susan. See you Sunday, maybe.
Hey, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Stephen.
Okay, guys, good job.